Hello, YouTube. It has been quite some time. There was a fan who reached out to me and wanted me to do an update. So here I am in the early morning hours here in Minnesota. And I haven't made, videos as regularly as I used to. And that's mainly because I'm focusing on my academic career. I'm trying to be a professor and that requires a lot of my time. I do want to talk to you guys about learning Turkish and French and a little bit of other things too. Um, so, as I don't have that much time, I find it to be a bit harder to not only make YouTube videos, but also find time to study new languages, which is an ever growing frustration of mine. I hope you guys can hear me all right. Let me try to move the microphone a little closer. But basically, I have started to use Rosetta Stone. That's a new thing too. As you know, I'm very critical of Rosetta Stone. However, they severely discounted their software from what it used to be. So it's quite cheap now. And when you buy it, you have access to every language they offer. So you have access to multiple languages, which I find quite nice, especially for people who are into polyglottery, studying multiple languages. However, now they don't let you download any software to put on your computer. Ridiculous. Absurd. That part makes me really upset. It's all online in your web browser. Stupid. So that part I really do not like about it. It's not snappy. It's very slow and laggy, and I have extremely fast, you know, internet, cable internet, broadband. I used to work for a cable internet company doing technical troubleshooting. So I know my internet's just fine. I've done plenty of speed tests on it. 100 megabits per second. Like, it's not the internet, it's the fact that they have the software as a browser software, which is just utterly stupid. At least if we have to spend such an egregious amount, even though it's cheaper now, it's still an egregious amount. Let us download the software onto our computer and store it on our hard drive. If you have a solid state hard drive, M.2 solid state hard drive, or even a 2.5-inch drive, like, it's going to be way faster than using your browser. I mean, just, anyways, I don't want to rant too much about Rosetta Stone. Um, but yeah, I started learning French. Here's one book here. I don't know how well you can see it. I'm using some effect to kind of blur the background of my room here so you don't see my messy room. Um, there's actually another French book I had I really wanted to show you guys. That's just a dictionary there. I got it at a thrift store. Um, but there are some books here I will at least talk about. And I'm just getting it pulled up here on my computer. So at the University of Chicago, they have, because I'm interested in learning French mainly for research, they have a textbook that they use. It's called French for Reading by Karl C. Sandberg and Eddison C. Tatham. And you can find it on Amazon. All the books that I'm going to talk about today, I'll put below in the description once I'm done live streaming. And I'm a fan of a website. It's called bookshop.org. And if you buy books from there, it's bought from small local booksellers, so you don't have to give money to the big giant monopoly Amazon. And I'm an affiliate with them. So if you purchase a book through one of the links that I'll put down below in the description there, I'll get some money. And if I get some money, it's easier for me to make YouTube videos for you guys. So instead of working an extra job, because I'm working actually multiple jobs right now, instead of doing that, I can focus on making YouTube videos for you guys. And I also have a Patreon account for my other YouTube channel too, which I'll put down in the description below if you guys want to check that out. My other YouTube channel that I focus time on is Hamza the Historian, where I talk about Middle East history. So I use a lot of my language, Arabic and German and the French I'm studying now for that, as well as Turkish. I'm trying to study Turkish. So for those of you who don't know, the Turks are quite academic. They publish a lot, especially on Hanafi history. That's a history of a specific school of legal ethics in the Islamic tradition. And so they produce a lot of research on that. And so those are the reasons really why I'm interested in learning Turkish. I've found like academic articles in Turkish that I would try to throw into Google Translate to at least get a gist as to what they're about. But we all know Google Translate is trash. I mean, let's be honest. I did my undergraduate degree in linguistics. I know a thing or two about technology, computational linguistics. Google's the number one company that hires computational linguists. It's not a perfect thing by any means. It's definitely extremely difficult. Language is way more complicated than computer code, frankly. So the code can never perfectly encapsulate language, period. But yeah, so we have this book here, French for Reading from Sandberg and Tatham, that they use there. Um, I really would recommend that book. I was supposed to bring it here to hold it for you guys, but I can't remember where I put it. And the problem is when you get so many books, it becomes harder to find them when you lose them. And I have my own, personal library, and I'm starting to get to have quite the collection, which I hope I can pass on to my kids eventually. Um, Another book I think that's good is a short course in reading French by Celia Brickman. That one I think a lot of colleges and universities use. It says, this textbook teaches the basics of French grammar, reinforcing its lessons with exercises and key practice translations. A systematic guide, the volume is a critical companion for university level students learning to read and translate written French into English, for graduate scholars learning to do research in French, or prepping for proficiency exams. I had to do one of those in German at the University of Chicago, which it was really difficult. And for any interested readers who want to improve their facility with the French language. So that's kind of basically what the book's about. I wish I could share my screen with you guys, but I don't have that set up right now, so I do apologize. Um, but I have a other video where I talk about learning German for research purposes. I also have a video where I talk about you know why languages in university settings are typically taught with a grammar focus, and it's because when you teach something with a grammatical focus, it's all for the purpose really of reading. Because in university, they want to be able to read texts that are in other languages for research. You know, maybe it's a historian, maybe it's someone who's into French literature, maybe it's an anthropologist. It could be a number of different things. Maybe it's a psychologist and he loves French psychoanalysis, like Jacques Lacan, who's one of my favorites. And so he wants to read, all the seminars from Jacques Lacan. And not everything's translated into English. And Jacques Lacan, he's such a verbose character there. Even when he's translated into English, it's pretty hard to understand, and it's such high complex literature that you almost have to read it in the original French to really understand what he's saying, and even then it's difficult because he even makes up his own French words, so that are a combination of two different words, like l'omelette, I think, is one of them, and so it gets a little bit complicated. Um, So when you focus on grammar, and if you understand everything that's grammatically going on in a sentence, then you just simply have to get out a dictionary and look up new words you don't know. So you got to get good at grammar and good at dealing with dictionaries, and you can pretty much read really, really well. Your pronunciation might be trash, and you might not be able to have a conversation, But you got to focus in whatever area you want to focus in. What's your goal? Everybody's got different goals. If you want to be good at conversation or good at interpreting and that type of thing, then probably having a heavy focus on grammar isn't for you. And then there's another book too. It's French Reading and Comprehension by Annie Heminway, and it says here, immerse yourself in French readings and build your comprehension skills using authentic texts from if I can talk tonight, from French-speaking cultures. Practice makes perfect. French reading and comprehension enables you to enhance your vocabulary with new terms and expressions. Each unit features authentic French language material, newspaper, magazine articles, websites, and more, giving you a real taste of how the language is used, as well as insights into the Francophone culture. Word lists and grammar sections specific to the reading support your learning along the way. So that's kind of maybe more of a beginner one than the other ones I was looking at, but still very worthy of attention, especially when you're a beginner like me. I remember tried learning French back when I was about 19 years old when I first started learning this YouTube channel, and I found it too easy. So I switched to Chinese. And I'm sure I've told that story in other videos here on this channel. And now when I'm coming back to it much, much later, 10 years later, I still think it's easier than most languages. But when you're trying to read French at a high level for research, it's still really difficult. And my pronunciation is trash right now because I'm not focusing on that. So I don't think I'm going to make a video of me speaking French anytime soon, maybe a year from now, as I get better at it. But I basically, if I find a text that I think is pertinent to my research, I will take a paragraph that looks relevant to me, and I'll throw it into Google Translate, get the gist of it, and then I'll try to parse out the grammar and the words myself, using a dictionary and different things, or whatever reference books I have. And that's how I would deal with it. I'm not really interested in being able to pronounce it perfectly. Although when you have a good pronunciation, it's actually easier to read and to have it at least like sounded out in your head, right? It actually helps you to remember words better, and it's really beneficial. There's a book here too, Cambridge Readings in French Literature by Arthur Tilley. That one looks interesting. That one I do not have yet. I'm thinking about buying it. And then in the description, it says, originally published in 1920, this book presents a series of extracts from French literature with editorial introductions to the selected writers. The extracts were chosen both on the basis of literary merit as representative of the history of France. All sections are presented in French with editorial material in English. They are grouped together on the basis of their theme or historical period. Numerous illustrative figures are also provided. This book will be of value to anyone with an interest in French literature and history. And it's from Cambridge University Press, so, prestigious there. It's $29.99. That doesn't seem, that's like a good price to me. I would definitely get it. So yeah, those are some books I think, that I'm kind of focusing on. Like I said, I don't have this one yet, the Cambridge Readings in French Literature. But really, I want to know, for those of you who are learning French, what books do you recommend to me? Because I'm in the market for getting more books to learn French. I'm trying to take it seriously right now. There's a very famous Orientalist. I mean, there's a lot of French Orientalists, but there's one, Renan. I really first discovered him as a graduate student reading Edward Said's book, Orientalism, where he criticizes Orientalism. And Edward Said, he was a professor at Columbia University in New York City, and he heavily criticized this guy, Ernest Renan, and Joseph Ernest Renan. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right. And if you go to I'm at his Wikipedia page now, it says he was a French Orientalist and Semitic scholar. He lived 1823 to 1892. He is an expert of Semitic languages and civilization, historian of religion, philologist, philosopher, biblical scholar, and critic. He is best known for his influential and pioneering historical works on the origins of early Christianity. I did not know that. I thought he specialized in Islam, but his work on Islam was so influential at the time. Wow. His political theories he's also famous for, especially concerning nationalism and national identity. That's the thing. A lot of these professors back in the day were like polymaths. Now everyone's so like hyper specialized in one small field. Like they have all this rhetoric about interdisciplinarianism, and you don't see it anywhere in reality. Rainan is credited as being amongst the first scholars to advance the now discredited Khazar theory, which held that Ashkenazi Jews were descendants of the Khazars, Turkic peoples who had adopted Jewish religion and migrated to Western Europe following the collapse of their Khanate. Yeah, that's kind of a stupid theory based off the stuff we know now, especially DNA evidence and anthropological and archaeological evidence. I don't know much about Ashkenazi history, but I do know about the Khazars. I know something about the Turks because I specialize in, Islamic history. So, yeah, I mean, that's one guy that I'm interested in getting into. We also have Claude Adas, who is a Orientalist that specializes in Muhyiddin ibn Arabi. And so Claude Adas, she has this famous book. The English translation is called Ibn Arabi, The Voyage of No Return, and also Quest for Red Sulfur. I don't know what the titles are in French, but I want to be able to look at them in the original French. He also has like lectures on YouTube that are in French that I'd love to be able to have access to someday. We also have Michel Chodkiewicz, who recently passed away, that writes on Ibn Arabi too. And so I've always wanted to be able to read him in the original French. And you have Denis Grill too. Denis Grill is another major scholar on Ibn Arabi. So like I just want to be able to read Orientalists in French more or less, and be able to read like the French classics. I think that's beneficial. Be able to look at like read Voltaire in original French, or various other philosophers and thinkers. Like Michel Foucault or Jacques Derrida. Those postmodernists. Things like that, as well as critical theorists and whatever. And I feel like too, I want to, get into learning Latin a little bit, and be able to kind of deal with texts in Latin. So in the early Islamic period, during the Umayyad dynasty, there was a lot of interaction between the Arabs and Romans. And you had Arabs that lived in the Byzantine Empire before the Arab conquest. And they spoke Roman and Greek, oftentimes more Greek than Roman, but some of them could read and write in Latin, and so you have texts that exist, in Arabic and Greek, or in Arabic and Latin, that are bilingual. A lot of them translated many Greek and Latin works into Arabic, and so I want to be able to have access to Latin at least. I don't know if I'll be able to learn Greek at anytime soon, but I hope to learn a little bit of Greek someday. More so ancient Greek, not modern Greek. But yeah, also Turkish. Here's a little handbook kind of thing on Turkish. Just enough Turkish, so it's kind of like a phrase book more or less. I have that. Of course, Teach Yourself Turkish, and these are books I've gotten for free. People gave to me. Teach Yourself Turkish, Teach Yourself series. It's a hit or miss with Teach Yourself. Some of them are really good. Some of them are really bad. And this one is Elementary Turkish. This is a little bit of a older title. And the software, I'm using the NVIDIA broadcast software, and it is not, sorry, I have like a dual monitor set up here, so sorry I'm not looking directly into the webcam. But yeah, Elementary Turkish. Lewis Thomas, revised and edited by Norman Itzkowitz. And this Peter Brown gave to me. I don't know if you guys remember him. He has his own YouTube channel. He's not that active anymore. Um, but he mailed this to me. It says 25th July 2010 for Cody, one of the best books on Turkish language. Oh, he was always so nice to me. For any of you who remember Peter Brown, he was just a really nice human being, and I really respect him a lot. And he mentored me, and he kind of helped me get into academia. So this is from Harvard University Press. Um, he studied this extensively. He is quite the polyglot himself. He's just humble about it. But you see all the red lines in the book. This is just the preface, for crying out loud. And that's all Peter Brown. I mean, he's a humble guy. He's a professor of Spanish language. Like, he likes Andalusian Spanish literature, like the Islamic period of Spain, looking at Spanish literature. And man, he actually knows a lot of languages besides just Spanish, but he doesn't really promote that, you know. And so this is a book. I mean, it's an older book. Just the smell has that old book smell, which I love so much. Let's see what year it was published. I don't think 1967. Wow. But this book I've been reading and taking notes on. I suck at pronunciation. Turkish for me, it sounds like, just my ignorant impression as an American, it sounds like garbled up consonants. The consonants are so close together. It's like, do they even have vowels? And so it's kind of hard for me to pronounce and to listen to. But like I said, I'm mostly interested in just reading it. But I'm getting better as time goes along. I'm trying to do the Rosetta Stone to get some listening and try to practice my pronunciation without nobody around to judge me. But I don't know. I don't mind being judged. So, maybe someday I'll come out with a video here trying to speak some Turkish. But same thing here with Turkish. I would like you guys to recommend me what your favorite books are on learning Turkish. So please, comment below your favorite stuff for learning Turkish. And Andy Kim here is also learning French. So yeah, if you guys, tell me what books you're using, what your experiences are with them, even if they're books you don't like, put them in the comments below and tell me that, hey, I have this book and it sucks. Don't buy it. And then I won't buy it. But Turkish is definitely a harder language, definitely harder than French, because it's just not related to English. It's not related to Arabic, which I'm starting to, I'd say I speak Arabic fluently. I'm starting to get a pretty good grasp at it. And German, I consider myself fluent. But Turkish is just another beast. The grammar is so weird and different to me. So that, is a challenge, and the pronunciation is still a challenge for me, much more than French. French, I feel like it's quite a bit easier. I took, about half a year of Spanish when I was in 8th grade. So like middle school. So like, I have some experience with, Latin-based languages, the Romance languages. So French, I guess, doesn't seem like so much of a challenge. And then we have so many French words in English because the Normans, conquered England for a while, which I talk about in my video on the history of the English language. But yeah, just to talk a little bit about what I do right now in life. So I finished my master's. I'm trying to get admissions to a PhD program right now. With COVID, it's kind of complicated that all quite a lot. So I applied last year to doctoral programs. I got shortlisted and different things, but then COVID hit in March, and that's usually when you get the results for your PhD application. That's when they tell you if you've been admitted or not. And a lot of them just decided simply not to admit any students at all because of COVID. And now this year I'm applying. This is a season where you're working on applications. They're usually due in December or January. And a lot of the universities I applied to last year, they just straight up say on their websites, we're not taking PhD students right now. And so at least half of the places I applied to last time, I applied to 10 different programs last time, and half of them at least are not taking students. Some of them have emailed me and told me most likely we're not going to take students, but we haven't made it an official decision yet. So I might not even be able to apply anywhere this year, which is super frustrating because I want to study, I want to get my PhD out of the way, I want to work in academia. Now I got to wait longer. And I'm afraid that my skills as an academic or my language skills, different things might get unrefined the further away I am from academia. So it's stressful. But I'm doing medical interpreting for Arabic and a little bit for Somali because there's a lot of Somalis here in Minnesota. So, you know, there's not too many, and I work here from home, doing phone calls. I'm not going to say which company I work for or anything like that. So I have a headset, I wear it and I take calls from patients and I schedule them. Or, I might, if it's an Arab patient, I don't get that many a day because there's not that many in Minnesota. It's only local for Minnesota. But, we have the Mayo Clinic here. We have Saudi royalty that comes and different things like that. A lot of Saudi students come to Minnesota, international students. Like at the town that I live in here in central Minnesota, at any one given time, there's at least like 1,000, maybe 1,500 Saudi students here. Um, so, I do use Arabic, but I might only get like one call a day or maybe 5 calls a day, 1 to 5 calls a day where I'm using Arabic. Somali, I might get probably 5 to 10, but I don't speak Somali quite as well. Sometimes I have to get a professional Somali interpreter from an outside agency in some circumstances, but I am using my languages, and then occasionally I get to use German too, but that's more rare because usually Germans are so good at English that it's not an issue. Um, but yeah, that's one of the jobs I'm doing right now. I also teach for Fawaki Institute, and that is an unaccredited college that's based in the Washington, D.C. area. It's affiliated with Harvard and the University of Chicago. And I do curriculum development and, I'm they call Arabic Quality and Control Associate. I designed their application that the students use. It's like a smartphone application. You can also use it on the computer. It's called Memrise. So I put all their Arabic things into there. I make quizzes for them and different things like that. So I'm working with Arabic, like every day of the week. Um, so my Arabic is definitely staying sharp from that. And I do read Arabic text every day. I'm currently working on a contracted textbook article for Routledge on the history of the Hanafi school of Islamic jurisprudence. So, I mean, I'm reading Arabic texts and dealing with primary historical sources often. So, I feel like my Arabic's okay, but I worry, if I might lose my German or something like that. I feel like my German pronunciation has gone down a little bit. I don't have the best perfect German accent as I used to when I watch some of my old videos, and sometimes it's not quite as sharp coming to me when I'm speaking, having a conversation. Because mostly what I do nowadays is read German or translate German into English. So that's just kind of my focus as an academic. I don't really have a choice. And nice, you're back. I remember you 10 years ago making a video talking about the languages you wanted to learn. Yeah, man, I hope I can do that list. You know, uh, life certainly gets busier as you get older. But I really aspire to keep learning and studying as many languages as I can for the rest of my life. That part of me has not changed at all. But, just for career reasons, there are some I have to focus on more than others. And that list is kind of, changed because of my career choice as well. So, for a PhD in Islamic history, you have to know French and German. That's a requirement. They make you take an exam, and you have to pass it, or you have to get like an A in one of their classes on French reading for research purposes or whatever it may be called, something like that. And they require you to know 2 Islamic languages. So that's the bare minimum. For me, I'm choosing Arabic and Turkish, German and French. Sometimes you can elect to change one of those European languages to another. People who they specialize in the history of Islamic Spain, for instance, might change German over to Spanish so they know Spanish and French, because there's a lot of Spanish and French academics who write academic articles on the history of Islamic Spain. Um, so yeah, I mean, that's definitely like, I think there's one called Pilar Garrido. He's a Spanish scholar who works on Islamic Spain that I've tried. So because I took some Spanish in eighth grade, I can throw it into Google Translate and I can pretty much have a grasp of what's going on, with the Spanish. So, and you get so much Spanish too in here in America because Mexico's nearby. And I've watched a lot of like Spanish TV with subtitles. Like I was really into the TV show Breaking Bad, and they had a Spanish speaking version of it. Like uh, the setting was in Colombia. It's called like Metastasis or something like that. And I watched that thing like nonstop with English subtitles, and it had so many seasons. So I got a lot of exposure to Spanish through that. Of course, on Netflix, what do they have, that Narcos show? I really like that show. So I've watched stuff, in Spanish, and you get a lot of exposure. And unfortunately, those are shows about drug dealers, so I know a lot of words about drugs and know a lot of swear words and things like that. But, anyways, I have some experience with Spanish, is what I'm trying to say. Um, and also because of my career, as I'm trying to get back to my original point here, after Turkish and French, I would be interested in learning Persian. I have interest in learning Urdu. Um, I have interest in learning different Arabic dialects. Like I said, I have interest in Latin and Greek. I may dabble into Russian because there's a lot of Russian Orientalists who've done research on the Islamic world, especially Central Asia, because it used to be part of the Russian Empire and then the USSR and all of that. I'm trying to think if there's other languages that like I'm really serious about for my academic career, but those are really kind of the main ones. When after learning Turkish, I might dabble a little bit into learning like Uyghur or Kazakh or Uzbek or something like that and it's not supposed to be too different from modern Turkish and Turkey. For sure, I'm gonna learn Ottoman Turkish too. That's something I should add on to there. Ottoman Turkish, though, I feel like is not that big of a jump because the grammar is more or less the same as modern Turkish, but the vocabulary is just all Arabic and Persian. I already know Arabic. Um, so I don't think that's going to be too huge of a jump for me. Um, yeah, Persian is an Indo-European language too, so the grammar isn't that far off from like Urdu or Pashtun or Pashto. Um, and yeah, it does have a lot of Arabic vocabulary. So like I studied Urdu for a little while actually. I tried studying it for a little while, like I took lessons from a friend using a colloquial series book. So I know like basic phrases, kia hal hai, and of course I've watched like tons of Bollywood movies and things like that. So I know different phrases, apkesahe, and all these different things. And I have a lot of friends that are Indo-Pak, so I mean I've had a lot of exposure to both Urdu and Hindi. Um, and I've had quite a bit of exposure to Persian too, because I got a lot of Iranian friends and things like that. At the University of Chicago, one of the professors I had, who he taught a course on medieval Islamic literature, he specialized in Persian literature, so I got a lot of exposure to Persian through him, and he he knows Arabic too, but he's very proud of the Persian language, um, even though he's just a white guy. And so he pronounced every Arabic word like it was Persian on purpose, out of pride. So I got some exposure to it that way, and his name is Franklin Lewis. If anyone's interested in googling him at the University of Chicago Near Eastern Studies Department. Um, so yeah, those are kind of what I'm interested. But besides that, just kind of like for fun, I really want to still keep trying to improve my Somali and Swahili. I might try to learn uh, Osa. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I know it's supposed to have a click in it, but I kind of suck at it because I don't actually speak it or nothing. But the South African Bantu language, I would like to learn. Um, what else have I thought about over the? I still want to work on my Chinese. I'm actually using my Chinese in the contracted article that I'm writing now, but I'm not too good at looking up the Chinese radicals in dictionaries, so it's a little more difficult for me. I'm really slow with it, using it for research, but I still do keep up with my Chinese and try to use it. Because part of my article is going to focus on Muslims in China. For those of you who don't know, there are a lot of Muslims in China besides just the Uyghurs. You have the Huizu Chinese Muslim ethnicity, and they're about half Han, and usually part Persian and part Arab when they do DNA tests on them. And they've lived along the Silk Road, and they're not persecuted by the Chinese like the Uyghurs are. The Uyghurs are persecuted mainly because they do not want to conform to Han culture, and it's quite a sad. It's a genocide what's happening, and it's quite sad. Um, and like I said, trying to get into a doctoral program right now, and so for me to keep up with this YouTube channel is kind of sometimes a little frustrating. I don't know. What do you guys think? If I get some income from this YouTube channel, I could dedicate more time to it. My channel used to be monetized. Actually, I used to get money. I used to get revenue from this YouTube channel, and YouTube changed its policies with monetization, and they took it away from me. It used to be you just had to have like a certain number of subscribers and get a certain number of views, and I met that threshold easily. But now they have this thing where you have to get a certain amount of watch hours, and I don't make that threshold. So I mean, if you guys want me to be making more videos, go check out some of my older videos. Maybe you haven't watched yet, so I can get more of those watch hours. And I don't know, what do you guys think? Should I make a Patreon? Would you guys subscribe to a Patreon if I made it? Would you guys donate to my PayPal? I can put my email address here. That's my PayPal email address, hamzathelinguist@gmail.com. I mean, if I can generate even just a little bit of income from this, like even if it's just $50 a month or something, I'd be able to dedicate more time to it instead of having to spend my time doing other things for money. Because I love YouTube and I love you guys. I really miss the old days of YouTube though, like back in 2009 and 2010, 2011, 2012, that kind of like early time in YouTube. The polyglot community was small. It was like me and Floki and like Lao Shu, Moses McCormick, um, a few other people, Peter Brown, Syzygy, the guy who did the polyglot project, and a few others out there, Glossica and things like that. And it was a very intimate community. We were small in number, and we all back then you could direct message on YouTube. So we'd like be sending each other DMs all the time. There was a German guy, Berghard, who was studying Thai, and he just disappeared from YouTube. He actually was telling me that he probably was going to disappear from YouTube ahead of time because he was studying to become a Buddhist monk, and I think that's what he did. He became a Buddhist monk, and so he's done with YouTube, man. No more YouTube for him. He's a austere monk now. And yeah, a lot of people that were on YouTube back then, they're doing what I'm doing. They went to like graduate school. Maybe they're not becoming a professor, but they got a master's degree. Some of them are like diplomats. I know one guy, he became a diplomat for his country. I'm not going to name names. Um, a lot of them went on to college and went on to have, quite successful careers. Um, so, I mean, you know, they're not really making YouTube videos that much either. I know some of them who are teaching in academia too, so they're not able to really get time to make videos. Or a lot of academics, they're afraid to make YouTube videos because they're afraid maybe they'll say something somebody doesn't like and then they won't get hired somewhere, or whatever. There's a lot of politics and drama that goes on behind the scenes in academia. um but yeah, I mean, for me, I like YouTube a lot, and I guess anybody really would like to make money off of YouTube, right? I mean, so yeah, if you guys want to support me, then that'll definitely help me out. I definitely have the technology to do it. I have a workstation PC. I have a HD camera. Right now, I'm just using my webcam, just trying to keep things easy and casual. I do have a professional microphone here. I hope the sound quality is all right. Um, And I would like to make more videos for you guys. What type of videos do you guys want me to make? What stuff would you like to see me talk about? Because sometimes I'm not sure what stuff I should talk about. I feel like I've made so many videos already. I've talked about so many different topics. Like, what else is there to talk about language learning? I don't know. You guys tell me. I kind of run out of ideas sometimes. So, communicating with me, I have my Facebook page, Hamza the Linguist, too. You could go search that up. Send me a message. You know, tell me what you guys wanna hear about. I also put a link to my personal kind of like academic website down below too. So if you want to reach out to me through there, it has like a contact section. You're welcome to do that. You can also email me. I just gave you guys my email, hamzathelinguist@gmail.com. Don't hack it. I have a very secure password and, two-step verification and all that. So I'm not worried about anyone being able to get into it. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of give you guys an update what's going on in my life. And if you guys could recommend me any books for French or Turkish or even Persian for that matter, I would really appreciate it. I don't have that many books on Farsi quite yet. If you want me to make more videos speaking Arabic, I can certainly do that too. I probably should practice. And yeah, I guess that's basically about it. I think I will end this live stream. If you're not a subscriber, press the subscribe button. You can push the bell to get notifications for every time I do upload a video, since it's not quite so regular. That way you'll at least get some notification there that I've uploaded something. Like my videos, that always helps them reach more people too. And check out my other channel, Hamza the Historian, if you're into history at all. I try to keep it very critical and neutral and non-biased as much as I can. So I'm not speaking from like a theological perspective at all. I think that's rather boring, to be honest. So I like to talk about things that maybe like religious people might not be interested in when it comes to Islamic history. So yeah, I guess that's about it. I'm going to call it a night. Thank you guys very much for watching. Thanks to my loyal fan base, and I really appreciate you guys. Always feel free to reach out to me. Ma'asalama. See you guys later. Bye-bye.